Jeff Jarrett versus Ahmed Johnson. I think your exposure to Ahmed Johnson's been quite minimal, isn't it?
Quite limited, yeah. Like very much like what his wrestling looks like here.
Yeah,
to be honest.
I mean, he is over the years as well become someone that's really enjoyable to watch, because the number of stories about people who have said, I mean, he really shouldn't have been in the ring. He hadn't had enough experience. He was reckless and he was dangerous. Every time you see an Ahmed Johnson match, you just go, wow, it so nearly fell to pieces. And that is thrilling. This is Jeff Jarrett 26 years ago. And he is not as good 26 years ago as he was earlier this year.
As he was in the last match he was in.
Absolutely shocking, the fact that he's still going at a high level and is more charismatic and better in the ring than he was when he's, 30? I mean, it's just astonishing. In the build-up to this match, they do show Jarrett hitting Ahmed Johnson with a chair, hits him over the head with it. And at the time, that would have been, quite a surprising thing to see on WWF television. That was, again, with time, it's become a shocking thing to see, because you do see Ahmed Johnson take an absolute cracker right onto the top of the head with a chair, which, as we know now, is something that does lead to these terrible concussive injuries. I mean, that shouldn't have come as a surprise at the time, to be honest, because later in this show they do have Dr. Jeffrey Unger, who was a genuine doctor who had been giving a sort of kayfabe story about Shawn Michaels and talking about the dangers of concussion, and that did actually come up in one of the lawsuits that was put against WWE, class action, regarding whether or not they were aware of the dangers of repeated concussions within wrestling.
Oh, so they actually brought up
and that was
on his show going, they are dangerous. That's hilarious.
They said they were aware of it. Here you go. Here is Dr. Jeffrey Unger.
God.
Dr. Jeffrey Unger was not an actor. He is a genuine doctor, and he'd worked with wrestlers and the WWF for a number of years. He would later do a lot of work with Hulk Hogan. He's mentioned a few times in Hulk Hogan's book. So yeah, just these little bits that they put in there that they go, that will make it everyone interested and sympathetic towards Shawn. And you go, well, yeah, but just remember, in 20 years, that might literally cost you $9 billion.
I don't think it would be safe for him to enter the ring at this time. In fact, it may not be safe for him to go back to wrestling at all.
These sobering thoughts have led us to reflect upon many of our WWF superstars. In the theater of life, we tend to place public figures on a pedestal. For an elite few, we reserve the mantle of superstardom. Shawn Michaels wowed us into believing that he could do just about anything, because we've seen him do it. But now we find ourselves in the uncomfortable position of hoping he'll just be all right. All the while, knowing we helped push him over the edge in our unquenchable thirst for excitement. However, like anyone who totally loves what they do, Shawn Michaels can't wait to get back into the ring. And believe me, he's even more anxious to get back than we are to see him back. But unfortunately, now there's a question as to when, or even if, Shawn Michaels should return at all.
The class action was dismissed, of course, a few years ago, so nothing came of that. But Ahmed Johnson does come out, and he is the most oiled wrestler of all time. He just is so much fun to watch. He looked great. He was incredibly powerful. He looked very different from anybody else who was around at the time, because primarily African-American men were not pushed at that elite level. Jim Ross did talk years later, after they'd made Ahmed Johnson the first African-American Intercontinental Champion. Jim Ross did say they had discussed internally whether or not they should give him the WWF World title. There were concerns at that level over his inexperience, and all of that inexperience is on display in this match. There's an amazing bit where he goes over the top rope and he manages to get his hand caught in the ropes as he goes over. And because it's caught, his head goes under the bottom rope and he catches his neck. And you hear him audibly go, ah!
And coming to the rope now and right back up. Wait a minute, Ahmed, no!
Double J really set up Ahmed Johnson, who's caught in the rope there. Now you got to take advantage of him. Get on him, Double J.
You might think, well, you know, that's a spot that he did because he's so big, he has to look like he's been incapacitated a bit. But Ahmed Johnson was not capable of getting that right, getting his hand caught and then his neck underneath. And the fact that they don't do anything off the back of it and the referee comes straight over to try and get his hand out suggests that is not planned. That is just a literal nightmare. There's another great bit where he comes off the top and he does a somersault leg drop and Jarrett rolls out the way. And that is actually hit absolutely perfectly. Mr. Perfect just sort of goes, he hurt his knee a little bit on that. And Vince McMahon just goes, he hurt his knee? Together, everyone is making no sense, which is magic. That is the Ahmed Johnson experience, that everything begins to fall apart in commentary, in the ring. And as a fan, you can just go, oh, I'm loving every minute of it. Loving every minute.
I just like the fact that whenever I saw Johnson being a bit shit, like the other person in the ring comes in the ring with some fucking honky-tonk Nashville fucking suit on, and it's LED lights, and it would look futuristic on anyone else. I don't know what it is about him, but the music is so it's this.
There he is, Double J, Jeff Jarrett from Nashville, Tennessee. Ain't he great? Well, that remains to be seen.
Listen to it. It's fucking terrible. It's just, you're supposed to be getting excited about this wrestling. It's this kind of like little demo key on a fucking 80s keyboard.
Even at the time, that light up jacket looked crap. When he came out in it, you were just like, this is too stupid. And this is sort of, it doesn't really fit in with what he's doing either.
No.
That he's got, it smacked so much of sort of going, what is this? What is any of it? Is he a country singer, or is he's very vain, or is he
robot
from a country future man? You know, it was. I mean, the thing I really did like about this match is they have Jarrett just go off the top rope to end it, just cracking this guitar straight over Ahmed Johnson's head, and there's no attempt to sort of go, I did it behind the ref's back. It was, this guy is frightening. I'm just going to try and brain him, and I don't care about the match. And I did really like that ending. I had a look to see what they'd said about each other, because Ahmed Johnson has done a lot of shoot interviews more recently, and Ahmed Johnson is he's certainly made some allegations over the years. He's, for example, believed that Stone Cold Steve Austin was racist to him, something which Austin very much denied. And on Jeff Jarrett, Ahmed Johnson said, I didn't like working with him. He wasn't like Shawn Michaels. He complained if you hit him too hard. Okay, if you hit him too hard, meaning, I hit him too hard and he complained. Don't hit him too hard. He said he didn't want to put anybody over, and on top of that, man, he was a racist son of a bitch. Really racist. Jeff Jarrett did address those comments on one of his podcasts, and he said, I thought I had the same relationship with Ahmed that basically everybody else did. Here's a guy, $1 million look, checks all the boxes, could make a fortune in this industry, but he's going to be his own worst enemy until he's not. And if that is going to change, it's entirely up to him. I kind of got the feeling he felt that way about everybody. I didn't see him having good relationships with anybody. My perception of it all was I never thought he singled me out like, hey, I don't like Double J. Never. That's my delusion, maybe. But I never thought that. So the two of them did not get along.
Right.
Within a month, Jeff Jarrett had injured his back during a match with Ahmed Johnson in Memphis, and he had to take some time out. And by the time he recovered, his contract had ended, and he decided to jump ship to WCW. It's a perfect example there where you sort of go, he had the opportunity to come back and have a program with Ahmed Johnson, who'd put him on the shelf, and he was like, do you know what? I think I might go to an entirely new company.
Ahmed Johnson set to take on the debuting Jeff Jarrett here on the War Zone.
Wait a minute. Jeff Jarrett's wrestling debut will not take place tonight.
What?
Ahmed, I'm not talking to you. He was one of the reasons I left the WWF 2 years ago. Ahmed, you water-retaining idiot. I'm not going to step in the ring tonight because no one here tonight or no one sitting at home thinks for 1 minute that you're on my level. They know if I stepped into the ring that it would be just a few minutes before I had the figure 4 on you.
Nobody really has much to say about Ahmed Johnson about working with him other than he was sloppy and people got hurt. And it did seem to be that his inexperience, he got quite big-headed and was not someone that I think people felt they could work with particularly. And he did pretty much drop out of the business. He would come back after a sort of 5-year period out to WCW in the early 2000s, and he had a feud with Booker T over who owned the letter T. At that time, he obviously unable to go under the name Ahmed Johnson. He called himself Big T, and they had a fight over who had the rights to the T in the name, which was won by Booker T, and he disappeared again. So he's one of those guys who is a pioneer and a trailblazer, but I think was so unpopular and has been sort of so difficult in subsequent years that they have never seemingly approached him for the Hall of Fame. It does seem a surprise that because of the fact that he is historically important as the first African-American Intercontinental Champion, but clearly they're too worried about having him back and having to sort of reopen, I think, everybody's old wounds. But there you go. That's the story of Ahmed Johnson. I hope it's not the last time we see him on this trip because I do enjoy how dangerous he is. I really, really enjoy it.
Knowing full well that every wrestler that's in with him is going, oh, God, what's he going to do next?
And you do watch it, and there's every third thing you go, shitting hell, you couldn't have done that worse if you tried. That is magic. It's slightly like when you see like art that's so bad, you go, yeah, but he's sort of reinvented art, you know what I mean? And it makes everything else look boring in comparison. And maybe that's what ruined this show, is they put Ahmed Johnson on, you see that, and everything after you're just going, this is all very mannered, all very, all very dull.
And Ahmed Johnson, certainly respecting the skills of Double J Jeff Jarrett, may appear to be just a bit tentative. His timing may be just a little bit off, because you have to wonder what the wily veteran, oh boy! Lucky landed on his head. Ahmed Johnson
Technically, Shawn does have brain damage, and that's the cause of the post-concussive syndrome. With Shawn's current neurological status, any additional blows to the head could be life-threatening.
Double J Jeff Jarrett from the top end. Send me back home. Play it again, Sam. Look at him.
We just met Dr. Jeffrey Unger, who was Shawn Michaels' personal physician. On the board behind him, when he does his little piece talking about how Michaels has, received his concussions, they've written vaccines today: MMR, Hep A, and Larium. And
nice.
I'm a proper doctor. I'm doing vaccines. Just got to note down what they are, not the numbers or times I'm doing them.
By a pharmacist these days.
Yeah. They have all of the stars come up and they do a little bit of hype for the match. And you can see that the roster depth is absolutely paper thin. So you go Owen Hart, Jake Roberts, Jerry Lawler, and Barry Horowitz is next. He is confident and happy.
I'm confident and I'm happy.
You also get Vader, but then you get Shawn Michaels. And Shawn Michaels in this, even when he does a tiny little piece as a babyface, he's just completely gross. He's so insincere and slimy, and he's sort of acting like he's above it all. He's overacting and being too casual at the same time. And no one's stepping in to go, just fucking put a lid on it. It's horrible. Just as we get to the Rumble, Mr. Perfect fumbles over the words multi-athletic. He kind of goes multi-athletic like that. And Vince McMahon just goes, oh, that's perfect. Perfect.
I do quite like their little kind of relationship, Vince and Perfect. I think Vince really, really likes Perfect.
I think he does. He does.
But not in a fawning way, just in a kind of like, I enjoy his company terribly.
I think he's an absolute dude, Hennig. And I think all the wrestlers did like him. And he was a joker. He was second generation, like Vince McMahon. And I think there's a kinship they have there. I have a feeling that his personality didn't come across as well on commentary as it did in real life. But you can say that about a lot of people,
Say that about us.
Oh, we're terribly disappointing.
We went like an editor to get shows on YouTube.
Yeah.
Guy called Michael, lovely chap. He's